Welcome to the Upshift podcast, where changemakers meet and commune and find out how each other is doing their part in changing the world. And today's guest is Missy Kane, and she is known as the fitness guru for sure. She's had Fit and Fun on PBS and other stations for 28 years. She'll correct me if I'm wrong. And she really is the go-to person for all things fitness. She's not just one line. She is all things fitness. Welcome, Missy.
Thank you
for taking time for us. You're such a busy woman.
Well, and I'm supposedly mostly retired, but it doesn't sink in that I'm retired because I have too many fun, fit hobbies. So.
Well, we're going to talk about that. So let me ask you this. I mean, I know about your Olympian, all that history with you, but top line that for our listeners. We got a whole new crop of people here. And then tell us how you got into this Fit and Fun where you're televised and really helping people get fit. How did all that happen?
Well, I mean, I guess it goes way back in college. I mean, I was a walk-on it shows how old I am, in the 70s. I went to UT here in Knoxville from Nashville. And my mother said, get involved with something worthwhile, because I was a little bit of a hellion as a teenager. And so I walked on the track team. I saw a sign and a friend of mine said, would you go with me and try out for the track team? And I'm like, I don't even know I've never run track, but sure. And I made the team, but it was the first day ever for women's track pretty much to start. So that's how I made the track team. And then, so that made me really get involved with fitness. My major ended up being physical education. I wanted to be a teacher, coach. And so that started back in the mid 70s. And then I ended up, the good Lord blessed me. I ended up making Olympic team, which is a whole nother story, back in 84, which was never predicted. I never thought about going to the Olympics, but I went to the Olympics in 84, and I came back and started working for Channel 10. And I said, could I do something? Because I got my master's in exercise phys, and I'd love to do something that promotes fitness. So I started doing fitness tips and sports reporting about, I guess, 1985. And so then I ended up working at Covenant Health for a while, just trying to lead people into exercises in the parks, here at Legacy Parks, where I am now, up in the Smokies for Friends of Smokies. And so at the same time in 98, I quit my job at Covenant to just Channel 10. In 98, I went to Covenant, and Channel 2, 15 PBS called me and said, how about doing a fitness show for us? So I ended up taking that on the road to East Tennessee PBS, and it's still going, which is amazing. I'm very blessed, but I'm surprised it's still going, but it is.
So you said a couple of things, and I know I fast forwarded you, but I'm going to have to rewind. 77, you said you were a walk-on at UT?
73 to 78 was when I was an undergraduate, and when I ran my track at the University of Tennessee for Lady Vault.
And you said that was the first female track team for University of Tennessee?
They had organized, they'd had a couple of people run before as like a club, but it basically was the first year. Terry Crawford was my coach, and she had been on the Knoxville Track Club, actually would work out with the guys, but didn't really have a team. So really 73, right in that era, is when it first started being a real women's team.
I'm sorry, but that, as a woman and as an athlete, that's amazing. I mean, that enough is history in and of itself. And then you became a sports pastor, right? You were a talking head, for lack of better words, but for sports on TV.
Yeah, I was a weekend anchor. I think I was the first female to do that in Tennessee. I was a weekend anchor at WBIR and would do fitness and sports stories for Bob Kessling. And Ted Hall was at Channel 10 at the time, too. And so I did that for a number of years. And I went back and coached at UT, even though I was working at Channel 10. I was coaching distance runners at Tennessee, 88 to 92. And then I was around 93 that I started working at Channel 10 more as Live at 5 at 4 reporter with Moira Ely, Maura Kay, and Ted Hall. And so I continued on that career. And I also was working for Fox Sports on the side doing, I'm always like juggling. We always love to juggle.
You are. That's why you're the busiest woman I've ever known.
24 years, I was a track and field commentator for Fox Sports, doing SEC commentating and coaching at the same time. It's pretty crazy. But To say, I'm really glad I had all those opportunities. Some of it's stressful. Doing sports live is sometimes very stressful, but I think it allowed me to handle anything. If you can run on set doing sports on a Saturday morning and you're not even sure if you combed your hair and you get through it, you think, by golly, I can do anything.
Oh, yeah, I would say that kind of confidence in front of a camera is something that takes some experience. I don't think you're born with that kind of confidence. Maybe you, Missy, considering you walked onto a track team not even knowing that you could run and you're in the Olympics in 1984. I mean, you must be what I would call a phenom.
I think I'm very blessed. I wouldn't say lucky, I would say blessed. I mean, I think it opened up a lot of doors for me. And, my Christian faith grew from athletics, comparison. There's a lot of things with Paul talking about I fought the good fight, I've finished the course, I've kept the faith. So a lot of that transitioned to my spiritual life through athletics. And so I've always been grateful for that. And then I just I just love being out in nature. I love helping people achieve some goals. And it doesn't have to be a youngster, it could be any age. I think people are transformed once they kind of take hold of themselves that they want to get themselves in shape or they want to try some hiking or biking. So all my sports background kind of transitioned into the fitness world, not just trying to make an Olympic team, but trying to lower your cholesterol, trying to get your blood pressure down. All that to me is very important.
So what the segue from using all your sports and your blessed areas of expression, we'll say, switching from internally focused and from your own goal focus to what happened? Did something happen or did it just naturally just transition to start to really focus on other people and helping them reach their goals? Bridge that gap for us.
I think, when I was in college, I was getting my major undergraduate in physical education. And so really my first job was teaching before I went back to get my master's, before I made the Olympic team. My first job was teaching at Central High School. So I taught physical education and health classes. I coached the boys cross country team and distance runner boys and girls at Central High School volleyball. And, I think that I remember there was an instance. I remember there was a kid named David, and he was a very skinny little guy. He wasn't all that fast, all that talented, but seeing him really like give it his all and show up to every practice, and then seeing that he made the top seven for our central team and went to regionals, those kind of stories or reflections to me gave me as much joy as some of the accolades that I might have gotten in the past. I mean, seeing somebody else achieve something, I think really gave me joy and made me feel fulfilled because it wasn't just about me, it was other people. And seeing people overcome obstacles also has helped me in my own right, thinking, I may think I've gone through a lot. I may have when I had to get my knees replaced not too long, a couple of years ago, but I look at other people and think, I don't have it that bad. It wasn't that bad. I think you always can compare yourself. But if you compare yourself and think, I may have had a tough year last year, but really I'm blessed beyond I can imagine. And I think that also went for me is coaching other people to see their goals and to achieve their goals really gives you as much joy or more joy than doing something yourself.
I totally agree. My mantra used to be, my delight is someone else's aha, that aha moment. And David had that. I was going to move into the show and actually what you've seen, the difference that your show has made in other people's lives. Cause I know it was not just locally all the time. I think you can access your show all over. But tell me some of the incidences or when you knew you were in the right place. You're pretty much in the right place at the right time in your life, it seems like. But there's that, how do you know it's like, oh, I'm really doing, if you want to say divine work here, what kind of responses, things that have happened around you because of your show?
I think some of my guests have motivated me, and then I'll have feedback. I had Carly Pearson on this past year, and I've been friends with Carly for about more than 15 years. Actually, she's done a lot of things with Legacy Parks because she is a wheelchair athlete. So she lost the use of her lower legs in a accident. She was a firefighter and she went out to the West Coast to help a big fire back 25 years ago or so, and lost the use of her legs. But then she continued to fight, and she was on one of the Covenant Health Marathon media teams that I used to coach. And she's won every race that she's entered at the Covenant Health Knoxville Marathon, and she's done rock climbing and she does sled hockey. And she was on my show, and you think, oh, I'm doing chair exercises, but I really got a lot of feedback from some people that contacted, PBS and myself saying, I really love that because it's something I can do. So we have to realize that everybody's a little different, but you still can push yourself and get a lot out of exercise. You may have to tailor it in a different way. And just seeing Carly fight hard. I remember one of the days I was helping her back to her car. I mean, she can do everything herself. But I mean, she was showing me that she was trying to get someone to help her because she has these push chairs, different type of exercise chairs. And one of them was broken and she was getting other people to help her. And you just forget how hard it is to navigate and do things when you don't have use of your legs. But yet she's a single mom. She's got 2 kids and she's just amazing. And so she motivates me, and having her on my show, I get a lot out of that myself. And then other people will give me feedback like, that really touched me watching her and trying to do a workout.
Yeah. Don't you feel like, shoot, if she can do that with given that kind of challenge, which is just mentally challenged to get off the couch,
Yeah.
it makes me want to just get off the couch and do something. All right. I've got another question for you. How do you think, because you've been in this business and this world of fitness for so long, what is your point of view on how we've become as Americans overall in the whole fitness? Do you think we've gotten better? Do you think we've gotten worse? And we also realize we're in the Southeast and in Tennessee where obesity is a problem. So give your opinion on that.
Fortunately for me, I keep thinking it's getting better because I guess I surround myself with people who also believe in that. But I'm
Uh-huh.
not crazy to think that, our children, and I was so grateful. I just heard something on the news recently that kids are going to be required to get more physical activity every day. Because that
Yes.
was my first job, was a physical education teacher. And our kids, that's really how I first started loving fitness. I went to St. Cecilia Academy in Nashville, and I had some great gym teachers that really, we back then we had trampoline. We had like a trampoline act I did with my teacher. You can't do all that now, but I mean, just having a teacher that would really put his heart and soul into helping us find new things that were fun, but exercise. And we did remember the president's fitness test, physical fitness
Yes.
test? That's when I
Yes.
first found out that had endurance because I could do the 600-yard run better than most. So I'm so glad to see that's back in the schools where kids are going to get more exercise, because our kids' obesity is really shocking.
Yes.
And I think that's one reason I love doing stuff. Here I am at Legacy Parks today doing some side work for them. But our parks, playgrounds, and trails, we've really improved them in the Knoxville area to make it more accessible for families and kids to go only 2 miles down the road and go to Iams Nature Center. Or IC King Park has got a brand new playground and trails. Or Morningside Park over here in East Knoxville's got a beautiful area. So I think making that more accessible is really
Yeah.
important. That's one reason in the summer I have a second show. My normal show is Monday through Fridays, East Tennessee PBS at 6:30 to 7. But I also have Missy Fit and Fun Facebook page people can go to. But in the summertime, usually it's at 2 o'clock. We call it Teenage Fit and Fun. And it's really for all ages. I'll have my 6-year-old grandson is going to be on one of the shows. I'll have a coach that maybe is 35 that deals with people, but maybe a little harder exercises than my normal morning show. But I'm really glad we do that because, again, you're talking about obesity and it starts young. If we can start the kids loving to be outside, exploring, they have a much better chance of not becoming obese as an adult if they can get a nip in the bud early
Yeah.
in their teens.
Well, I know that at one point in my son's lives, they're 30 now, 30, 31, that it wasn't required to take gym class. They could opt out with some
Right.
other class. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that they're putting the requirement of some sort of movement activity into kids' lives again. And
Yeah.
you're right.
Because, yeah, it's not all about it. It's food is important. I mean, nutrition is very important, but it goes hand in hand. And I'll tell kids that I said, it's not about how much you weigh. It's about, you can be a thin person and have high blood pressure. You know, you can be a thin person and still have your blood work out of whack or not have enough muscle. And if you don't have enough muscle, you're going to fall easier when you get older. If you don't have enough muscle, you're not going to burn as many calories just even
Right.
at rest. So it's not about weight all the time. It's about fitness levels.
Well, I'm thinking about mental wellness too. I know for me as a young girl, when I was about 12, and I'd have a bad day, everybody in my family, this is their mantra: go run. Angel, go run. Just get on the boulevard and go run. You'll feel much better. And truly, I would. And that kind of started my journey, and dancing did the same thing. So, but you brought up something that's really important as an inspiration for people listening out there. So, for the people that maybe are having a hard time getting off the couch, you're gonna inspire them, just to get up and move and walk. But the people, this is an interesting other inspiration that I heard in what you said. People that are able and are athletic and have a nice routine and or maybe around other people, the things in your life, like hearing your gym teacher in high school being such an influence on you. I don't think that people know, I know they say they do, but that how influential these teachers can be in our children's lives, and taking an interest. And hopefully these teachers with these physical interests, what I mean is whether it's a gym teacher or a track coach
Mhm.
or a cheerleading coach, or those things make such a difference in our lives and during that time when we're so impressionable,
Mhm.
right? And so I want people to hear what Missy said in many different aspects of her life, how she was motivated by the people in her life, and how she motivates people. And then the lovely cycle of motivation that happens by other people being better of all abilities. I mean, when you say accessibility to the parks, I know what you mean, because I know how hard Carol, the executive director, has worked to get physically challenged accessibility, wheelchair accessibility for our parks so that everybody can get out. I know you know how important this is. So thank you for all of that. What do you what do you think is an important inspiration for us to hear for Missy? Something simple, something that they can something that almost like a mantra or something they can take in or think of or go to when they're low and just they need to move. What would Missy say?
I think I mentioned it earlier, one of my favorite verses, I fought the good fight. I've finished the race. I've kept the faith. I mean, I think we just have to keep going. And, some of the times that I've found that I was maybe down or injured, or when I had knee replacements the last 2 years that I went through breast cancer radiation. Luckily, it was early stage, zero. But, you know, there were times where I couldn't do all the things I wanted to do, but I had a recumbent bike on the back porch, and I love being outdoors. I just love nature. And so I got through my recuperation just doing 5 minutes a day on my recumbent bike. And then I'd add 5 minutes in the afternoon and just building up. I mean, that to me, and everybody was surprised that I got back into shape so quickly. But I had a goal, and I really wanted to. I knew I was going to the Senior Olympics in cycling about 7 months after getting my first knee replacement. So, and I ended up going I did the time trial races, 5K and 10K. So I ended up getting a gold and a silver. And I love challenges for myself. And sometimes when it's easy, it's not the best time to push. It's good for me when I have been down with something to really think, okay, I've got a goal. I think I can do it, and going for it. So I wasn't proud of myself. I was just grateful that I had people around me, physical therapists, people helping me. My husband's always a great supporter, and going to the Senior Olympics and doing that a couple of years ago was kind of a milestone for me because I've got two new knees. I can do things, but I was that setback. I couldn't do what I wanted to do anymore because my knees were so bad hiking down. I could hike up all day, but hiking down was an issue. So, but I think that verse, I fought the good fight. I finished the race. I've kept the faith. That applies to so much that we go through all the time.
You know, my dad used to say that all the time, and that's actually etched on his headstone.
Really?
Yes, isn't that wild? And he
Yes.
was a go-getter. After his stroke, he kept going and going and going. And I got a replaced knee too. The same knee that's had 3 knee operations, two
Wow.
ACLs, the whole nine. Yeah, and you have to have a goal. And so I would say one of the things you've said to us is you're challenging yourself all the time. And that I think that is something that people nowadays, I know the people that were in the 30s and 40s, they went through such a rough time. They call them the greatest generation because they were fighters. They didn't whine. It was just like my mother used to say, just deal with it. You don't come down with it. You just deal with it. Just deal with it, you know? And I think it's not quite as, I don't know, spoken like that so much. And you're saying to us, when we're down, when you get the punch in the face or the speed bump or the block, it's like challenge yourself to be a little bit better. And I love that it was just 5 minutes on the recumbent bike. It's like, don't make goals too high, right?
Yeah, small
Because
steps, small, and
small steps.
it's like people saying, Missy, I really love that you do hikes, and I lead hikes still for Friends of the Smokies besides local. People, I really want to go to LeConte. I'm like, well, you can't start out going to LeConte. It's 5 miles, but you need that goal. So a lot of the people that now have hiked all 900 miles of the Smokies and they're in their 70s. They didn't start hiking until they were 60, but they started out with me, maybe some local hikes, and then by golly, I can do I can do the 3 miles there. I can do House Mountain, which is not easy, but it's 5 miles. So you have to build up. But seeing to me, I think it's fun when I'm out there on the trail somewhere and I may see somebody that I haven't seen in 15 years, but they started with me 15 years ago with Get on Trails with Friends and Missy, a program I started back when I was working at Covenant Health. And we did that back in 1998. And it doesn't upset me that I don't see them that much anymore. I'm glad they're now with the Smoky Mountain Hikers or another group. And to me, they look like they're 10 years younger, like they've had a body lift because they've lost weight, they've gotten fit, and socially, I think it's so important socially to have some groups that lift you up. And when we're in I can't remember the whole poem, but I have a poem that call, why not take a hike? Why not? Isn't the name of the poem. But I'll say that when you're out in nature, you don't think about the worries of the day and the politics of the day. So when I'm in hiking, it's weird, but we never talk about politics. It's really nice, you
Thank
know.
goodness.
Yes. I mean, and I have friends from, like somebody said, Missy, you have the most eclectic friends, which I'm glad they're from maybe my hiking group, my biking group, kids I used to coach, my book club, all different types
Pickleball.
of people, but they also have different views that I might not agree with, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We're just out there enjoying nature and getting some exercise and fresh air. And like you said, when you're having a bad day, going outside can totally change how you feel.
Right. So, what do you say to the aging people out there that, I have some friends that want to tell me, well, just admit it, you're old now, because my age, at least the number is not what it, seems like. But, the aging crowd and especially women as they age, what do you have to say to them who might be thinking, oh, well, I can't because? What's your words of wisdom for them?
I mean, I think, if you don't move it, you're going to lose it. If you don't keep moving, and it may not be running anymore, it may
Right.
be walking, taking your dog for a walk. But if we don't move, we're going to really lose it a lot quicker. And I don't think that's an excuse anymore getting older. I mean, I have quite a few ladies I know that are great cyclists and I'll be 70 this month coming up. But Harvey, one of my friends, a male, Harvey is 90 years old and he still bikes 75 miles a week and
90? You said 90?
90 years old. And So, and some of the, now, I think I told you this when we had coffee. I've now picked up pickleball because it's like I need more hours a day because I love hiking, I love biking, I love pickleball, I like doing my show. But a lot of people I played pickleball. And when I first went in there to play with them, and I've never played tennis a lot, so I thought, oh, so and so looks like he can't move that fast, or so and so looks a lot older than me, that lady. But by golly, they just beat me like a drum playing pickleball. So it's never too late. And finding things you enjoy and people you enjoy doing with, I think that's just I always say this, the spice of life is the key to fitness as far as you got to mix it up.
Well, it's good for your body, but also your brain. And I have to bring it back to the mental wellness that physical wellness ties into. And you're talking about the social, the socialization and just the movement. You don't move it, you lose it. But also the ability to change up. I tell people that are, recovering addicts, you've got to redirect your pleasure and pain, redirect your pathway to pleasure. And I really believe that moving, hiking, doing something like that is that redirection. And it's kind of like a good habit to get into. A good addiction would be, a hiking addiction or whatever. I love that. So, Missy, what's next for you?
I know I don't feel like I'm slowing down at all. Maybe I'm not running as fast, but I'm still enjoying doing my show. Fit and Fun, like you said, started in 1998. I'm still doing that. This summer will be the Teenage Fit and Fun that airs, and I'm still doing local hikes for legacy parks. I've got a new thing that we're just rolling out called the Mountain Commerce Bank 20 for 20 Challenge. So Legacy Parks just turned 20 years old this year. So people can go on legacyparks.org and they can do 20 hikes this year. They can start back ones they've already done. And the goal is to do 20 hikes, different hikes. And you can get a neat t-shirt. And I'm leading some of the hikes. I'm leading one this week out at Concord Trails. So that's going on. And then I'm still helping with Friends of the Smokies Trails Forever. I'm doing a hike at Tremont in a couple of weeks with Friends of the Smokies. And I'm getting ready to go to the Senior Olympics for cycling in Iowa. So we're doing a road trip. I'm going to be competing in the 5K and 10K time trials out in Iowa for the Senior Olympics. And Senior Olympics are huge. It was amazing how many people in probably 20 plus different sports, but it's a lot of fun. And my he's always supporting me, Jim Bemiller, and luckily he's off in July, and we always take our bikes and go to different rails to trails along the way and just find beautiful places to explore.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Your life sounds wonderful and you're so fulfilled. I just love it. So as we close, so I know we can find you at Fit and Fun on Facebook and PBS. Find
Right.
you. I love the teenage thing, especially if parents are out there that they can't get their kid off the couch in the summer. Maybe that'd be a fun thing to turn on. Is it, yeah, accessible? What, I've asked you this once, but I really want this one little nugget. What's one little inspirational nugget you can leave us with today?
I guess you kind of summed it up. And I say this on my show a lot. Life is more fun when you're fit. And it doesn't have to be Olympic athlete fitness, but it's just fun to be out and moving. And so that is my mantra, is life is more fun when you're fit. Just find things you like to do, and you'll find new friends to play with. And I love playing with my 7-year-old grandson. I do a segment called Mimi and Hayes Fit and Fun Adventures. So I always say Fit and Fun Adventures keeps me going.
Oh, I love that. I really do. Thank you so much again for taking this time to spend with us. You're so busy and so wonderful, so inspirational.
Well,
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much. And tell your wonderful brother I said hello, Turner.
Okay. Until next time.
Okay.
Thank you to our guest, Missy Kane, today. Wow. What a phenomenal woman she is. That was as amazing for me as I hope it's been for you. And thank you for listening. I'm Angel Howard, your host, and I would love to get to know you better. So send me an email at angel@angelhoward.co, or to book me for a speaking engagement, you can come over to my website, angelhoward.co, or dive deeper into your own journey and get my book, Issues in Your Tissues, on Amazon. Until next time.